Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, an entitled male Karen parks in a veteran's handicap spot and claims that he is not disabled. Guess who gets towed? Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. The first story is titled, Male Karen Steals Veteran's Handicap Parking Spot. As a handicapped veteran who is in a wheelchair, most people are kind to me. I got a prosthetic leg, so it does not bother me that every now and then I will get stared at. After all, it's mostly little kids and I am sure they are simply curious. Like I said, most people are exceedingly kind to me and even thank me for serving. But even I know that for every nice person in the world, there is truly an evil person hiding in the dark. And those people? Well, those people are called Karens, except in my case it was a Ken. Although I am still pretty independent, my wonderful girlfriend helps me with a lot of things. She really is an angel. We frequently go grocery shopping together, and while to some people that may seem like a chore or what you are supposed to do, I just really appreciated her tagging along for simple stuff. It meant a lot to me. So we were on our routine weekend grocery trip and we were circling the parking lot trying to find a handicap place to park. I have the placard and everything because you know I wanna do what is right and follow the rules. My girlfriend finds a spot and turns on her blinker to signal she is turning into it. Well, at the same time, a car whips around the corner and almost hits this other car that is backing out of a parking space across from it. My girlfriend still has enough space to pull into the handicapped spot, so she starts pulling into it. Then the same car that whipped around the corner starts honking on his horn and throwing his hands up in the air as if saying, "What the heck?" We did not know what he was going crazy over, so my girlfriend pulled into the space completely. We thought maybe he was trying to park in the space across from us where the car just pulled out, but then he drove down the aisle and parked in the next row from us near the front. At this point, we just think maybe he was honking at the other car or something. I did not really know at the time, so we get out and my girlfriend is pushing me in my wheelchair, even though I am capable of maneuvering myself around, bless you honey, and the man that was honking approached us inside the grocery store. He ends up being an extreme male Karen, so we will just call him Ken. Ken, hello? Excuse me? Me realizing that he is indeed talking to me and my girlfriend. Can I help you with something? Ken, clearly not. You cannot even push yourself around. Gotta make your wife do it. Not gonna lie, it hurt my feelings. I'm a pretty tough guy. After all, you have to be if you're gonna serve. But I did have an insecurity about burdening my girlfriend being a badass and getting straight to the point. Look, what is the problem? That is no way to talk to someone, especially someone that you don't know. Ken, well, I'm going to talk to someone like that who steals my parking spot. I thought to myself, oh god, so that is where this was going. My girlfriend, how did we steal it from you? Were you already parked there? She was such a smartass sometimes, I really loved it. Ken, well, no, but I saw it first. Me, well, actually, you turned the corner after us. Besides, you don't even have a handicap placard in your window, so how were we supposed to know that you were going to park there? I kid you not, I almost lost it at the words that came out of his mouth next. Ken, well, I have to go buy a lot of stuff right now. I don't want to have to lug it all the way down the parking lot, so you guys better go move your car. I don't feel like walking. My girlfriend, did you not already walk in here? Besides, it must be nice to not want to walk. Some people don't have that option, you know. Speaking about me, obviously, and then me, so you really want all three of us to go waste our time, move our car and come back inside to shop like that is going to be convenient for you? You still gotta go back outside and move your car. Ken, I know what I said, smarty. Go move your car or I'm not leaving you alone. Do you think because you're disabled you're entitled to stuff? I chose to start ignoring him and so did my girlfriend because this was honestly ridiculous. There was no point in going outside and switching parking spots, nor was there any point in continuing the conversation/argument. This guy didn't want to push his groceries in a cart out in the parking lot, and yet I was the entitled one, apparently. Personally, I would kill to be able to walk down a parking lot pushing my groceries. People really do take advantage of things and do not even think twice about it. Besides that, he was wasting all of his time being a dick for no reason. I personally would never treat someone like that, especially not a stranger. Well, we go on our way and do our grocery shopping. Ken is still shopping around the store, and when we finish, and he was not shy about sending us a dirty look. Well, when we go out to our car and see him parked in the next aisle over, we notice that Ken is actually parked in a handicapped spot. I also noticed that there was an elderly couple that was circling the parking lot, and I almost wondered if they needed a handicapped spot to park in. So I told my girlfriend to pass me my phone because I was gonna report him and have his car towed from the parking lot. Petty? Maybe. Worth it? Absolutely yes. It just so happens that as the tow truck pulls up, Ken is finally finished grocery shopping and freaks out when he sees that the tow truck started to hook his car up. He also obviously sees my girlfriend and me standing near and asks us, "What the F is going on?" Unfortunately for Ken, neither my girlfriend nor I are afraid of a little confrontation. I explained to him very bluntly that I called to report him for using a handicapped spot when there was no handicap placard in his window. This is a major violation and it takes away from the people that really do need those parking spots. Well, Ken thinks he's going to get revenge on my girlfriend and I by calling the actual police on us, and yes, Ken called 911 on my girlfriend and I for reporting him. And then the police came. They were rather upset at him for unnecessarily calling 911, especially when he himself parked in a handicapped spot, which is absolutely not legal. Not only did Ken not get revenge, but his car did end up getting towed, which he had to pay a fee to get it out of the towing lot. And he had to pay a fine for parking in a handicapped spot with no placard. Revenge is best served sweet. And yeah, ripe stars, I would 100% agree with that. People who park in handicapped spots when they have no reason to are definitely some of the worst people imaginable, and they deserve everything bad coming to them. Anyway, let's continue with the next story. The next one is titled Neighbor Parking Revenge. So I recently bought my own apartment and it needed plenty of work doing to bring it into the 21st century. There is a communal car park with each apartment having a designated space. There's also plenty of road parking available for visitors as the houses on the road have private driveways big enough for 2 to 4 cars. My parents came around daily to help me renovate, and so they often parked on the road at the nearest point to my apartment. It was still about a 50-meter walk to my front door, but it was close enough to be doable for my mom, who struggles to walk much these days. This was in front of one of the houses with a driveway, but was not blocking their driveway or even getting close enough to make it difficult to get out of. One day, as my mom left, the neighbor ran out of the house to move her car off her driveway and park it between the 2 spaces outside their house. She then left the car there and went out of her way to always park one of their cars there, meaning my mom had to park 100 meters up the road, which was really hard for her to do. She was exhausted by the time she got to my front door and then had to go up a set of stairs too. This weekend we had non-stop rain for the whole 2 days. It was really amazing after all the heat, and guess whose fancy German saloon car had its windows most of the way down? Normally, I would knock and tell them like I did with my direct neighbors who I like. However, this woman made things difficult for my mom just because she wanted to use the 2 spaces outside her house for visitors as well as her 3-car driveway. While it pains me to see a nice car like that being neglected, I hope those seats were absolutely sodden. And the next one is titled, I did exactly what the neighbor wanted. I would say that this is a minor case of malicious compliance, but it still felt good. The situation happened a couple of years ago when I would meet up at a friend's house every Monday evening to play board games with him and a now married couple. We are gonna say that the friend's name is Matt. Matt lives in one of those neighborhoods where the houses are really close together and there are a million cars parked on the street. One evening we were wrapping up for the night and just chatting when we heard a knock at the door. It was the neighbor across the street and he was very upset that someone had parked in front of his house because that spot belonged to him. The car belonged to the married couple, who quickly apologized and said they were leaving shortly. They rushed to get their things together so they could move the car and avoid conflict. However, I had a different reaction. I thought it was extremely rude for him to knock on our door and demand us to move. I told the neighbor that there were no assigned or claimed spots and that you could park wherever you wanted. Obviously, you park in front of your own house or the house that you are visiting if you can, but otherwise just park wherever there is an available spot. He did not seem to have a good counter to my argument, but still continued to argue that he did not want us to park in front of his house. Most houses on the street have enough room for one street-parked vehicle on one side of their driveway, while the other side was often unusable due to it being too close to the neighbor's driveway. Best case scenario, on the shorter side, you would have a small spot that would be partially in front of both houses. Due to the odd shape of Matt's lot, which was narrow in the back and wider in the front, he had a lot more space in front of his house on one side than most other houses, which was enough for 3 cars. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. The married couple gets into their car and leaves complying with the neighbor's wishes. Matt decides to give in as well and plays along with the neighbor's rules. He points to the 3 vehicles parked nearby and asks, "Whose cars are these and why are they parked in front of my house?" The neighbor looked dumbfounded, and after a moment of silence he admits that 2 of those vehicles belong to his family. Matt replies, "So according to your rules you should not be parking in front of my house." The neighbor looked stunned, as his rules were actually going to hurt him much more than they would hurt us. Matt only had to worry about his and his roommate's car, which would both fit in his driveway. He only needed street parking when people would occasionally come over. The neighbor had a full driveway and 3+ cars on the street that he needed spots for on a daily basis. He didn't have enough street spaces that would clearly belong to him using his rules. The neighbor walked away in defeat, but apparently argued more with Matt after I left. The pandemic hit shortly after, and we cancelled our in-person game nights, and I'm pretty sure the neighbor continued to park in front of other people's houses, which is what everyone else does there anyways. And yeah, ripe stars, I would say it always pays off to not be a douchebag, especially when you're coming into a new neighborhood. I guess it is worth it to first at least play nice with some of the neighbors to make some friends, and if they are douchebags you can still be mean to them later on. And the next one is titled, "Get out of my damn driveway." So my neighbor across the street is having a garage sale today. We will call them OAF for old as hell. I'm doing this just to differentiate between them and the other neighbor's house. Of course, there are tons of cars parked on the street in front of my house, which I find annoying, but it's fine. Of course, I would never yell at anyone for parking on the street in front of my house. But when I woke up this morning, I noticed a car parked in front of my other neighbor's driveway. Immediately I thought, if anyone parks in front of my driveway, I'm going to let them have it. I didn't think I would get the chance. After a few hours though, a lifted truck pulls up in front of my house, parks in front of my driveway, the driver gets out and waddles over to the garage sale. I waited for them to get all the way to OAF's house before I put my socks and shoes on, got in my car and opened my garage. I backed out into the driveway and honked the horn. When the driver came back I yelled, "Don't park in front of someone's driveway, it is really rude," as he got back into his car. Finally free from this oppressive brand of personality, I did the thing that was so important. The thing that I absolutely had to leave right then for. I went for a short drive around the block and came right back home. Seems the car is running fine, good thing I checked though. And the next one is titled, "Always complain about guests parking in your spot? Enjoy not being able to park there for 2 weeks." Where I live is on a street that has plenty of on-street parking. My neighbor, however, always parks on this one spot. The spot can easily fit 2 cars, but he always parks in the middle to stop others from parking there. Does not really concern me, as I just park 10 meters down the road. Whenever guests come over and he is not there, they park in that same spot, leaving enough room for him to park there as well, of course. They are not a-holes. Anyway, whenever this happens and he arrives home while they are still over, he will either come and knock on the door and explain that he has lived there for 10 years, that there is not enough room for 2 cars, that this is where he always parked blah blah blah, or wait for the guests to leave and go explain to them the same crap. Every time he does this, I just explain to him that he doesn't own this spot regardless of how long he has lived there. About 2 years ago I moved from the other side of Australia out of home and away from my parents for work. I see them once or twice a year when I go to visit. This time I am away for 2 weeks. As I am leaving yesterday, I go outside to my Uber who is waiting outside and I notice something. He is not home. The evil in me awoke as the driver was putting my bags in the boot. I told him I just had to move real quick. So I ran inside and moved the car. I obviously parked it right in the middle, so there is no way he can park there at all. As I got into the Uber, I explained the whole thing to the driver and we had a good laugh about it. I cannot wait to get home and see the look in his face. Edit: the car is parked illegally and it is registered. The car would have to be there for a long time for it to be towed. Thanks for your concern though. I have security cameras out the front of the house which can see the car. The car's only worth about $3,000. Don't really care if he damages it, he can pay for it. Edit number 3 for the people who cannot read: the car in no way is parked illegally. If the property line were to run out onto the road, it would pass half through my car. The car is half out the front of his house and half out the front of mine. There is plenty of on-street parking, so no one is being affected. There is parking on the other side of his driveway. In Australia, a car can be parked as long as it wants where it wants, providing it is parked legally and is registered. It's not going to get towed as it is registered and parked legally. Update: so nothing much to update on. My car is still parked there and he is parked on the other side of the road. I haven't seen him yet, so I don't know if he knows I am back. The next one is titled The Worst Neighbor Ever. So my grandparents lived in a gated community. It's kind of expensive, so the people who live in there can get a little prissy, but nothing as bad as in this story. I went over to my grandparents one weekend and my grandmother asks me if I could go help the neighbor's kid with a school project. It was about 8 at night, but I can never say no to this woman. So I went over, ready to do some work, when entitled neighbor answers the door. Entitled neighbor: you must be the neighbor's grandson. Thanks for coming by so late. Me: yeah, it's cool. Where's your son? EN: he is over there by the computer. He already has the research done, he just needs help making the presentation. I think to myself, wow, this will be easy. I introduce myself to the kid. He is about 12 and overall was a nice kid, if not a little nervous. As we are doing the project, EN is standing by the counter watching over us and commenting on the work. EN: could you make that picture bigger please? We want to make sure the class can see it. Same with the words. Me: yeah, sure, no problem. I will make the picture a bit bigger, more central, and make the words look more like commentary. She chimes in again, a bit ruder. EN: bigger. We have to make sure the people in the back can see it. Me: but if we make it bigger, we won't be able to fit the words and picture on one slide. EN: that's fine. Just make them bigger. Me: okay, tell me when then. The picture ended up taking that whole slide and we had to put the words on a different slide. I start slowly making the font bigger until one of them tells me to stop. She does not tell me to stop till I get up to 48, and even then the words are barely fitting on the slide. EN: perfect. Now just do all the slides like that and we'll be done in a jiffy. We were not gonna be though. Every time I tried to help this kid make his presentation look better, hell, even when he tried to make it look better, she had to interject. It was always, make this bigger. I cannot see that from here. Take that off. It looks tacky. This went on for 2 hours, and finally we finished. EN's kid: this looks great, thank you so much, I cannot wait to show this in class. That is when I noticed that the presentation is 36 slides long. There was absolutely no way he was gonna be allowed to present something this long in a classroom. I told him as much and I said the same to the mother. EN: no, I think it looks perfect. I'm sure the teacher won't mind this being a little extra long. Me: but he could seriously lose points if he doesn't shorten it, or worse, doesn't present. EN's kid: I mean, we can shorten some of the less big stuff. EN: fine, if you think it will get him a better grade, but it's on you if he fails. I was a bit annoyed at that comment, but at least I made some progress. We managed to bring the slides down from 36 to 28, at which point it was hard to compress stuff without deleting sections outright. Now, some of you are probably saying, Jesus, 28 slides for a 12-year-old, that's a lot for a teacher to assign. I do agree, but this story takes place in late-ish January, so I figured it was one of those Christmas break projects that were really long. When I finally take a look at his rubric for the project, I saw something horrible. The assignment called for 8 to 10 slides. I was so upset because we now had to cut out so much. I go to the mother to talk to her about it. Me: hey, so the project calls for 8 to 10 slides, so we're gonna have to cut some stuff out. EN: no, my child spent hours getting that research and all of it is going into the presentation. Me, but the teacher will never let him actually present that in class. It's too long. EN slightly more annoyed. I thought you were working for so long to fix that problem. Me, that was before I knew it was originally 4 times as long as the maximum. EN, whatever, it's better to go over than under anyways. If he is done with the presentation, you can leave. At this point it was almost 11 at night and I just didn't have the energy to deal with it anymore. I was not even getting paid for this, the most I got was some hot chocolate. It tasted like ass, by the way. About a week and a half goes by and my grandmother calls me saying she just got off the phone with her neighbor. Apparently, her kid got a terrible grade on the project and it was all my fault. I caught up with the kids a while later, he got a B-. I told her the situation and she hangs up to talk to the lady. When she calls back, she says that the lady did confirm that that is what happened, but still says it is my fault. Needless to say, I was not asked, nor did I ever offer to help her again.